same. Stasis means equilibrium. So it's keeping or staying the same equilibrium. So it's keeping an internal balance. What kind of systems do we have that need to keep in balance in our human bodies?
Blood.
Blood. What about the blood?
Our glucose and our...
There's glucose, and then it mentioned blood pH, and so that basically is the acidity or alkalinity of our blood. We'll get into more detail about that when we talk about enzymes. And then we've also got our body temperature. So we've all got the, average body temperature, average blood glucose, things like that. Whenever you check those, they're going to say, oh, you're above or below average. So like average body temperature is 98.6. We get our temperature taken every morning. Before we get started, my temperature is usually around 97.4, somewhere around there. And so I'm a little bit below average. So whenever I'm running like a 99-degree fever, I feel like the average person does when they're running like 101-degree fever, because I'm just a little below average normally. So when our body is outside of that equilibrium, we have systems in place to bring it back to that equilibrium. Those are called feedback systems. So all feedback systems are systems that our body has developed to regain or maintain homeostasis. So there's two different types. What two different types were there of feedback systems? Positive and negative. So I'm going to make a little T-chart here. So we've got positive and negative. So positive feedback systems, I want you to get out of your head that positive means good and negative means bad. In this, it is talking about the result of a reaction and what it does to that particular reaction. So a positive feedback system is the result of a reaction causes that reaction to amplify, which means happen more. So what example did it talk about with positive feedback systems?
Oh, childbirth.
Childbirth. So what happens with childbirth is basically there's a stimulus from the baby saying, I'm putting pressure on your cervix and I want out of here. And that sends a signal to your brain to release hormones that start contractions. Whenever contractions start, it releases another signal that tells the brain to release more of that signal to create more contractions. So it's a continuation of that reaction. Another example that might be a little more relatable is blood clotting. So we've all gotten a cut of some sort, and then whenever our blood gets exposed to atmospheric oxygen, it then starts clotting. So there's a clotting factor that when it meets oxygen, it basically clumps blood together. Well, whenever that blood clumps together, it releases more of the clotting factors, and so it makes more blood clump together. So I'm going to use that example because, again, it's just a little more relatable than childbirth, I think. So, I mean, I don't think because I've gone through childbirth, but, not everybody has. Okay, so blood clotting. When blood clotting factors are activated by oxygen, they release more blood clotting factors. Ooh, we're getting cramped here. Okay. So again, positive, not thinking of it as in, oh, this is good, but which it is good. If you don't blood clot, then you have hemophilia, and that's not good. But it is not positive as in good, but positive as it's making more of the reaction occur. Does that make sense? We don't have as many of these in our body, so positive feedback systems, blood clotting, child labor, it's things that basically throw your body a little bit out of homeostasis so that it can then eventually regain homeostasis. And there's a bunch of different ones that go into that. We've got an activity that we will do that we will start next time, where you'll actually look at different body stimulus responses and determine if they're positive or negative feedbacks. Okay, negative feedback systems. This is the majority of our reactions because, again, homeostasis, we're trying to regain as soon as possible in most cases, and so it's going to be an immediate reversal. So this is the result of a reaction stops or reverses a reaction. And I say A, but we'll be more specific and say B. So the result of a reaction stops or reverses that same reaction, so the reaction. There are lots of examples of these. So it went into detail about blood glucose levels and kind of temperature. We'll talk about temperature because, again, it's a little more relatable. We've all been cold and started shivering and gotten goosebumps, and we've all been hot and started sweating and our face turned red. So what's happening with this, with body temperature or thermoregulation, when our body gets too cold, it contracts muscles and shivers to keep heat and then also create heat. So the shivering is to create heat. The contractions or the goosebumps are to basically lower your surface area of your body so that you can keep in more heat. And then when our body gets too hot, our veins dilate and we sweat to keep ourselves from getting too hot. So instead of thinking of yourself as sweating to make yourself cooler, it's sweating to stop yourself from getting hotter. So you're stopping the reaction. So the reaction is that your body is getting hotter. That stimulates your body to respond to keep yourself from getting any hotter, to stay in that homeostasis. And it does that by dilating veins. So again, we can dissipate more heat if there's more surface area. And so it dilates our veins. That's why your face gets red or your skin gets red. And then you start sweating. So what's happening, and this is going back to properties of water. What's happening with our sweat? How does sweat cool us off? You have to think about it. What does, what you got?
Like the sweat releases our pores that like releases the heat, or like when the wind blows in your skin and the coolness like cools down your body. I don't know.
You're on the right track. So what our body is doing is whenever you sweat, the action of sweating isn't cooling you off. It's whenever the wind hits that sweat or that sweat evaporates off of you. It's taking that heat with it because water does what to heat? Absorbs it. So that water absorbs the heat whenever it's on your skin, and then whenever it evaporates off of you or gets blown off of you by the wind, it takes that heat with it. So it's not the action of sweating that's cooling you off, it's the sweat going off of your body, so it takes the heat with it. I think that's pretty neat because then it takes in the whole properties of water thing, or makes it all relatable. Okay, so I know that was quick, fast, and in a hurry, but does anybody have any questions? We will be looking at positive and negative feedback systems again. After lunch, we'll look at a case study, and then next time we're in here, so on Thursday, we'll actually get to start an activity where you'll get to research and look into some cool feedback systems that our body has. Okay, so does anyone have any questions about positive and negative feedback systems? Okay, cool. I'm going to stop recording so there's not an awkward lunch